feel like this is wide. It's wide. Welcome, 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 welcome. I am Armchair Commentary, and I won't be this wide for this long. I am your fantasy football friend, and I am, of course, from Grey North Sports, usually joined by my co host Dubs. But tonight we are fantasy footballing. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. Happy to talk about them tonight. The focus is running back. It is one of the most important positions in fantasy football in terms of point accumulation. You pick the wrong running back, and you can tank your team pretty quickly. So I have a couple of fades, some guys that I'm going to be pretty adamant on. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get into. There we go. I don't feel 1,000 feet wide now. Running back. So my top 5 running backs for fantasy football this season, and I have them in order here. You can see number 5, Christian McCaffrey. Everybody's going to tell you about the injury concerns. Year after injuries, not as big a concern for me. It's the coming off of a legit season. That's the one I'm worried about. Right now, he's coming off a season where he hasn't played hardly at all, figures to be extremely healthy, and he is the weapon. He's the weapon there. Brandon Ayuk is either hurt or holding out most of the time. We have no wide receivers to speak of, so CMC is the weapon. That's number 5. My number 4 is Derrick Henry. Still couldn't stop him last year. Unbelievable season. Absolutely dummied people while he was going through things. So I was quite happy to see Derrick Henry have a great season in Baltimore. I think he'll have another great season. They're still a run-first team, in my opinion, and there's no reason to think that he won't be productive for at least one more year. You'll probably get a little bit of fall-off, but that fall-off is still better than most other people. He is absolutely a touchdown threat, which is why he's still ranked as highly as he is. Even if he doesn't have the yards, he is still an end zone threat, and I haven't seen him slowing down at all. Usually you get to that point and they start to fall off a cliff. We're not there with Derrick Henry yet. I think we still have a little bit. Number 3 will surprise some people. I have Jahmyr Gibbs as my number 3. Why do I have Gibbs at 3? I don't trust the Lions' offense as much as some people. They lost a lot. They lost some offensive line help. They lost their offensive coordinator. They lost their defensive coordinator. The team is very different. Dan Campbell's still the head of the snake, and he will continue to lead his men into battle. He's phenomenal. He's a great coach, but that offense is going to be very, very different. So I will not be shocked to see some Gibbs fallout. Plus, he shares the backfield, as you know. Makes it a little tougher when you're sharing the backfield to get as much love as you want. Still an electric player, still going to be phenomenal. I think that Gibbs is still a great pick, which is why he's my number 3 back. Number 2 is Saquon Barkley. The league is going to adjust to what Saquon did last year. They are absolutely going to adjust. I don't know if it's going to matter too much. I don't know if it's going to matter too much. He's still going to be great. That Eagles offense is largely run on Saquon doing Saquon things. And I love that for Saquon. I think that I'm a big fan of Barkley himself. I think he has a lot of opportunity to really grow here. Saquon is the offense in Philadelphia. It's not Jalen Hurts. It's not Jalen Hurts. It's not A.J. Brown. It's not any of the wide receivers. It's Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is option 1, 2, and 3. And then number 4 is finally we'll push, and then we can talk about some passing. Saquon opens it up for everybody else. He is my number 2 back for that reason. And probably unsurprisingly, Bijan Robinson, number 1 fantasy football back for this year. Unbelievable year last year, finally started coming into his own. That offense is going to be turbocharged. And I think that you're going to see a big difference in Bijan's production, for starters. I think that he's going to be an immensely productive back. But I also think that he's got the opportunity to go really showcase himself as the number one young running back in the league. There are a lot of guys who would like to. I mean, Saquon Barkley was that. He was that guy when he was with the Giants. You still have a lot of guys that I think have opportunity to do a ton of great things. The running back rankings that I see on a regular basis have Ashton Jeanty up there. I couldn't put Jeanty in my top 5, not yet. Still a rook. I can't get behind putting a rook in the top 5, unproven. Preseason hasn't been great, but that's preseason. The Raiders are going to be an interesting team. I like Brock Bowers a lot better from that team than I do from Ashton Jeanty. But Jeanty will still be a top 10 back in the league this year. The other one that I was really I guess my sleeper back, if you want to call him that, is Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor gets no love because he plays in Indianapolis, and the Colts aren't great. Their quarterback regularly goes down with injury. He just did it again. And the offense is usually pass first, but Jonathan Taylor has been steadfast in performing in Indianapolis. And currently, according to the Fantasy Pros, he is your running back 7. Right in front of Devon Achane, who may get a boost. He may get a boost. I don't mind Achane at all. I like Achane as a later round running back. I wouldn't spend my first on him. Even in a deep league, I'm probably looking at 3rd round. Realistically, for value, that's where I would grab Achane. Josh Jacobs, and then we get into another kind of tier. Our rank 1s are Robinson, Barkley, Gibbs, Henry, Jeanty, McCaffrey, Taylor, Achane, and Josh Jacobs. Jacobs is going to get tote because he's the guy. He's the number 1. And then you get your young backs, your Bucky Irving, Kyren Williams, Chase Brown, James Cook, Breece Hall, Marion Hampton, and Kenny Walker. Now, let's talk about some fades, because I mentioned 2 people in that list that I will probably be fading. And you can call me insane. That's fine. I will take the heat for it. But I absolutely think that it's important to fade some of these guys. You should be fading Kyren Williams. I'll give you a minute to digest that. You should be fading Kyren Williams. I don't trust anything that the Rams are putting out right now. Kyren was unbelievable last year. I think that a lot of people are really looking at last season and going, how could you not want Kyren Williams in there? And realistically, he was used a ton. He was used a ton. But I don't love it this year. I don't love it this year at all. I think that you're going to see regression closer to the mean. And I would love for to be wrong, but I don't think I am in this one. I think that Kyren Williams is a fade for me. Another fade, Chase Brown? Question mark. Chase Brown is a fade for me. He might be the only Bengals fade, other than the defense. I don't see how, in good conscience, I could grab a running back whose sole role in the team is to create opportunity for his 2 weapons, which is T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, who will go significantly higher in drafts. That said, if Chase Brown was sitting there staring at me in the 4th round or 5th round, that's a lot of value. So it may be less of a fade and more of a we'll talk about it when we get there. We're going to have a talk about it. There's a lot of guys that are in that scenario, I think. You look at overall running back performance, and there are guys that are like, if you told so you meet your buddies and you go, hey, I did my fantasy football draft this weekend and this is who I picked. And you say something like, I grabbed Saquon Barkley. People go, yeah, it's a good pick. Or I grabbed Derrick Henry. And people go, that's a pretty good pick. And then you have those middle guys and they go, that's fine. I mean, depending on who was around, I might have done something different, but I see what you were going for there. And then there's the guys let's have a talk about. Let's just have a sit down. We sit down and we have a talk about it. That's all. I'm just asking you to have a talk about it. And the guys that you have to talk about are, Kyren Williams and Chase Brown and James Cook, who's holding in right now, should be a good option. Breece Hall should be electric, but he shares the backfield. And what does that Jets offense really look like? Is anybody taking a Marion Hampton? He was electric in college. Is that going to translate to a Chargers team that looks to be kind of an air raid offense? Are we changing that now to a run first? We disappear. We're not going to trust Justin Herbert anymore. Now we're going to trust our gut and say that a Marion Hampton's going to be the guy. Also, you've signed Najee, and Najee hasn't been around. We'll pirate Najee Harris with his eye injury. And then Kenny Walker, another one where it's like you've got the guy that's trying to replace you doing great things in the backfield, and Charbonnet. How do you justify a top half of the draft pick to a guy who's splitting carries? I feel the same way about Ramondre Stevenson right now. I feel the same, although Travion Henderson may be a sleeper pick, just overall. You just may want to stash him. If you're in a keeper league, you stash him. You pick him and you stash him. Guy was electric wheels. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't know why you wouldn't want to pick up one of those guys. I think it's a little strange that you would want to avoid it. Looking at the top five, let's go through a little bit of top five. Just kind of talk about the current number one for me, Bijan Robinson. Last season, running back 4. Strength of schedule is around 5th. His average draft position is RB2, which means people are still taking Saquon. His average fantasy points per game was high. He went 11, 12, 11. Like, he was doing fine. Had a couple of 7s and people got off him, and then he went nanners. 22 at Carolina, 20 against Seattle, 16, 14, 26 against New Orleans. Then he had a dumper in Denver, and then he came back and he ended the season, weeks 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. No fewer than 13 and a half points. So it's 19, 18, 13, 22, 21, 29. I put him in the top 10 of running backs every week for every one of those weeks. I think you're going to see a big push this year to use him. I think that from a value perspective, if you have the opportunity to pick high in the draft, Bijan is your running back of choice. That's where I would lean. I would lean right now. Bijan, I think that there's opportunity for you to outscore other positions, and if you had to pick running back early, that's who you'd go. You don't always have to. This year's fantasy drafts seem to be pushing more of a wide receiver agenda. I don't know if that's the case or not, but it looks like there's a lot more Jamar Chase going number 1 versus Bijan, which is why he's probably sitting at an ADP of 2. Saquon, as I've talked about, average draft position is running back 1. People are taking Saquon over Bijan, and I think that that's a mistake. Although I do think he's still going to have a great season. I don't think it's going to be 1,662 yards, which is their current projection. Like, he went off He went off. Last year he had 2,000 yards. Like if he had 1,500, I'd be okay. Like that's a great season. And no one can be upset at that. I just don't think it's going to be record setting again. I think there's going to be a difference between the good and the bad. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with Saquon having a great season instead of a record-setting season. His projection is pretty solid. Jahmyr Gibbs, his projections have him around 1,200 yards with 12 tutties. Again, Gibbs is an electric player, so it wouldn't surprise me to see him getting some receptions, some screen passes, get some of that heat off of Montgomery, who's kind of your through the tackles guy, and just absolutely hammer teams with his speed. Because he's quick, he's elusive, he's a zigzagging machine every time he catches the ball or gets the ball in the backfield. He's on one. He's gone. He's absolutely shot out of a cannon. I kind of like Gibbs at 3 for value at running back 3. That's pretty tough to hate. That's pretty tough to hate. I also just again the offense. What's the offense look like here? What is the real option here? What's the real offense going to look like without Ben Johnson at the helm? What does that mean? What does that look like to you? What does it look like for the rest of them? It doesn't make a ton of sense. We'll see how it goes. It may mean nothing. Derrick Henry, again, another just beast of a running back. His projections are 1,500 yards. 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns. I think he probably gets 15 touchdowns. I don't know. Something about it, like, I feel like he's going to get one of those, like, he's going to have a couple of those 2 touchdown days. Like, Derrick Henry is built for the, like, multi-touchdown parlay builder guys. Like, oh, someone to score more than 1 touchdown, it's Derrick Henry. Like, Henry anytime, probably even money. Love me some Derrick Henry. I think you're going to get immense value from Derrick Henry because I don't think people think he's going to be any good. I think they're selling that Derrick Henry has anything left in the tank. I disagree. I think he's got something. McCaffrey played like 5 games and he played like none of them. His projection currently is roughly 1,000 yards rushing, 8 touchdowns, and then he has the receiving end of things. I think that there's more upside there just because of the situation. Let's be honest. You look at that San Francisco 49ers offense currently as it stands, and I don't see who the weapon is. I don't see who it is other than McCaffrey. Like, who's the guy? Who are they giving the ball to? Like, Brandon Ayuk is great. I love Brandon Ayuk. I think he's a phenomenal player. Who are they giving it to, though? So they're giving it to Ayuk? Who else? Because I got to be honest with you, it doesn't seem like they have much on the go from rosters. So they signed Keyshawn Vaughn. Like, the team is kind of in shambles right now. They really need some help. Some reinforcements would be wonderful. Like, their depth chart at wide receiver is Juwan Jennings. That's the one. Your 2 is a competition between Jacob Cowing and Russell Gage Jr. Tariq Owens is your 3. That's your 4 wide receivers. Are we kidding me? Ricky Pearsall, Demarcus Robinson, Jordan Watkins. Like, you're weak. You're weak at that position right now. Your running back is McCaffrey and Garendo. Garendo had a great fill-in. Patrick Taylor Jr. is still there. I think they've got opportunity to really do something with McCaffrey, and you're going to hear that maybe a couple times, but you're going to hear more people saying fade McCaffrey. You just avoid him, and I will be happy to sit on that grenade. Happy to do it.